Police always suspected 27-year-old Christopher Daunt met with foul play when he disappeared without a trace 2 years ago. And today, those suspicions were realised. The man charged over Mr Daunt's murder, Christopher Robertson, today admitted to killing the 27-year-old in March 2015. Robertson appeared via video link in Newcastle local court, where his barrister Peter Chrisenthal entered the guilty plea by reason of excessive self-defence. NBN News can reveal Robertson killed Mr Daunt by hitting him 3 times over the head with a hammer at his North Lambton home before wrapping his body in a tent and later dumping it on the side of the road at Seaham. According to court documents, Robertson was on his knees, being held at gunpoint by Daunt, who feared Robertson was a police officer. Both were involved in what police described as a substantial drug organisation. Robertson didn't apply for bail after entering his guilty plea and remains in custody at the Mid-North Coast Correctional Centre. He'll be sentenced next week. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
It may look like a harbourside hotel, but this $28 million project isn't targeting tourists, but students.
The dynamics of the city have changed somewhat, and because the university has put the law faculty building so nearby, there is a demand and a need for student accommodation.
174 self-contained units. It's the plan proposed by Crown Plaza Newcastle owner Jerry Schwartz, who purchased the Wharf Road land 4 years ago. He initially lodged a DA to add to his hotel, but after a 3-year wait for approval, he's changed his mind.
The main reason I purchased the block of land was to build parking for my hotel, so that will still be the same. And there was also a need for more conferencing area for the hotel, so that will still be there.
The idea, first revealed to NBN News last month, has been welcomed by the Business Chamber.
There are elements of this or examples of this in other cities within Australia, in Melbourne and Sydney in particular, and they do extremely well. I think it's a good thing. It's another sign of the evolution of development in Newcastle City and the diversity of what we have on offer.
Talia Sarv, NBN News. With more than 5,500 Australian casualties, the World War I Battle of Fromelles is the bloodiest day in our history. 101 years on, diggers still lie in unmarked graves.
Every family needs a place to go to grieve.
Royce Atkinson knows the relief and pain of the situation better than most. His uncle, Private Matthew Heppel, was one of the first soldiers to be identified through DNA testing.
It was actually joyous and sad at the same time because no one in my family, including Matthew's parents and his siblings, ever knew where he ended up.
100 remain unidentified at Pheasantwood Cemetery on the outskirts of the French village. Finding their descendants has been likened to looking for needles in a haystack.
A lot of folk today don't know that they have distant relatives who may be linked by DNA, so that's not a direct line descendancy issue in many occasions. It can come from another arm of the family, relatively unknown.
This Saturday, the issue will be front and centre at the Fromelles Association of Australia's annual meeting at Cessnock. Among the speakers, historian Lambis Inglesos.
He'll be speaking about his work and the ongoing work of identification. As will the head of the Unrecovered War Casualties Unit of the Australian Army, Andrew Burney, will be here.
Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
Heart, soul and a whole lot of talent. When Ella Cox and Will Dyson dance together, it's truly magical. It's their connection, born from a truly special friendship, that really sets the stage alight.
Ella is my best friend and she's very funny and kind and she's a very good dancer, and I feel like that we match each other perfectly. I like dancing with Will because he's very nice and encouraging, but he's also sort of similar to me.
Just 11 and 13, the duo is part of the Australian Ballet Interstate Training Program. To get there has been a lot of hard work. They practice 4 days a week. But like the true professionals they already are, it's not seen as a sacrifice.
I love dancing and I've been dancing since I was 2, so it's sort of always been a part of me. And it's just great to express myself, and I go into a different world and no one can stop me. I would prefer to come here, because I love training with all my amazing choreographers.
That passion has paid off. Ella and Will are just back from Los Angeles, where they represented Australia at the World Championships of Performing Arts. Their incredible performance in the junior dance category saw them crowned world champions.
I felt excited and so grateful, and I was very proud of me and Will.
To have that achievement at such a young age means that, the sky's the limit now for them.
Emma Murphy, NBN News.
Ashley Allen is like any other sport-loving 14-year-old girl, but who she's competing against is far from common.
I was never fussed on soccer, netball, didn't like, tennis, no way. And rugby, I just loved it.
She plays alongside the boys at Hamilton, as she has done since the earliest possible age, after years of backyard footy against her brother.
I just kept complaining to my parents that I really want to play, so when I turned 6, I just got in and just loved it ever since.
But when she turned 12, she had to stop. It was the rules at the time. Too old to play with the boys, but too young to play with the women. Devastated, but Ashley wasn't deterred, still training with her team every Tuesday and Thursday night. And then, last year, the ARU announced girls who passed a series of safety tests would be allowed to run out with everyone else.
Just the nerves of not being able to play, I think I'd be distraught and just wrecked if they said no. I couldn't think of what would happen if they said no, so I'm really glad they said yes.
Now one of a handful of Hunter girls doing so, Ashley's game has gone to another level. She's been talent scouted, and after playing in Newcastle, most weekends she even drives to Sydney for a few more games. The sport is experiencing a boost in female numbers after the Sevens struck gold in Rio.
Is that the dream?
Yes, Olympics is definitely the dream. I'd love to get there.
She may well do so. Her commitment to the sport is unwavering.
Oh, I'm so passionate about it. It's just fun being out there with boys and girls and just being able to play a sport that you can really, really connect with. And it's just fun hitting people.
Samuel Jordan, NBN News. 25-year-old Callum Wagemans has already spent 56 days in custody after being charged with stabbing his 30-year-old brother Nathan last year. Today, Wagemans learned he'll remain behind bars until at least Christmas Eve, having been sentenced to a minimum term of 1 year and 1 month. Wagemans barrister John Fitzgerald told Newcastle District Court his client has always had a fractious relationship with his brother, which culminated, more often than not, in a physical altercation. On April 13 last year, a fight broke out between the pair at Lambton after Wagemans damaged Nathan's bike. The court heard the 25-year-old was acting in self-defence when he stabbed his brother 3 times, twice in the chest and once in the wrist, after being hit with a 30-centimetre long piece of wood. Nathan required surgery following the attack and spent 4 days in hospital. In sentencing, Judge Roy Ellis noted the seriousness of the incident, but also noted that Wagemans' behaviour had stabilised following a new treatment plan for behavioural issues.
We know that we're going to cause some disruption when we build light rail. This is just one of those things that we can do to take pressure off, keep the cars moving through the city.
Renowned artist John Olsen left Newcastle at the age of 6, but after a remarkable 7-decade career, his hometown still inspires him.
It's one thing to paint gum trees, but when you see a city as dynamic as the harbour, the Hunter Harbour, it's fantastic.
The 2005 Archibald Prize winner has been here a week, capturing harbour life in a series of 5 sketches.
The energy and the vitality of it, it's constantly changing. It's a kaleidoscope of activities. It has a sense of magic about it. That's why I'm here.
It's a long way from his memories as a young child in the 1930s.
It was very depressed and so many people unemployed and ghastly smog coming out of BHP and that's all changed. I mean, it's the harbour side now is just fabulous.
The sketches will be gifted to Newcastle Art Gallery tonight, with its John Olsen collection set to surpass 40 works. The legendary artist's generosity doesn't stop there. He's also just given the gallery this sculpture.
It runs parallel to what I feel about Newcastle, and it's called The Leap. It's cast in bronze. I'm just delighted that the gallery has it.
Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
He's more at home on the football field than in a suit. But last night, Newcastle's Trent Hodkinson was kitted out for an occasion even closer to his heart. At 15, Hannah Rye has terminal cancer. She first met Trent as part of his Kick for Kids program. Last night, he took her to her Year 10 formal after Kurri Kurri High School moved the event forward.
She was just like, I'm Cinderella at the ball, I'm going to the ball. It was amazing.
As a young lady, we all know the fun and the absolute glamour of being able to dress up and have a night with our friends. And one of those things for Hannah was to experience that kind of night, knowing that a November December formal just probably wasn't going to be a possibility in her current situation.
The night all about making precious memories, not only for Hannah but her friends.
She said at the end of the night, "I just don't want this night to end." So a beautiful evening.
Today it was back to training for the halfback, who preferred to put the spotlight on the real star of the night.
You know, last night she was so brave and she's such a strong girl. You wouldn't know she'd be going through this. She brought a smile to my face last night. She was so strong.
The gesture an indication of the man behind the jersey.
That's just Trent, mate. He's a real community guy, and just charity, anything. He's always there.
He made her night. There were so many things that made her night, but I think Trent, he is the absolute perfect gentleman, and he was her knight in shining armour.
Emma Murphy, NBN News.
A special delivery of precious cargo. Nearly 100 years since its arrival on the battlefield in Belgium, the Birdwood flag has come home to Newcastle. After 2 years of meticulous restoration work in Sydney, today it began a new chapter, lifted into a specially crafted showcase at Christchurch Cathedral. Its story is a fascinating one and has its beginnings in Newcastle with Dora Spark, an organiser for the Comforts Fund, who decided our soldiers needed their own flag on the front line.
It was delivered a year after it was made, really, to General Birdwood in Ypres in Belgium, right on the battlefront. There's a report in the newspaper that says there was sounds of the battle going on at the same time.
After the war, the General returned the flag to Newcastle and it stood in the cathedral's Warriors' Chapel, gradually disintegrating. But instead of disposing of the pieces, as was tradition, the Dean of the time kept them. They were rediscovered, stored in a shoebox.
The first impression was that, it was scary, really scary project.
Experts soon realised the treasure they'd unearthed.
It is one of, if not the only, it is one of the remaining earliest national flags of Australia.
And so began the painstaking task of putting the pieces back together.
It was like a giant jigsaw puzzle that, you've never had the likes of before.
Some parts are still missing, so the restoration team added a red backing to complete the piece.
We put all of the silk together between 2 layers of tulle and then sewed around each single piece in between both layers of tulle to create the flag.
For those involved, today's return of the flag was an emotional moment.
It has the effect of a teddy bear that you thought you'd lost, that was precious, and when you get it back, it's not quite what it was, and you look at it and you know that it's been really affected by its journey in the meantime.
A re-hallowing ceremony will be held on Sunday week, July 30. The whole community is invited.
He's been under plenty of pressure this season, but the modest Hodkinson is still more worried about his club than a personal milestone as he prepares for his 150th NRL game.
It's going to be a great night. Although I don't want it to be about me, I want it to be about the team and trying to get a win. So, look, it's a great achievement, but I'll be focusing on the team and trying to get a win for us.
Having returned to first grade against the Bulldogs and Broncos, the halfback is confident he's rediscovering his best form.
I think it's been fairly good. I've been happy with it. Just got to keep chipping away and doing what I can for the team and concentrating on that. But we're improving each week. We've just got to find a way to nut it out right at the end,
Contracted until the end of next season, does Hodkinson think he's playing for his future?
I'm not looking at it as that way. I'm just focusing on each week as it comes and doing my best for the team and the players around me, and we'll go from there.
Mickey Payer is hoping to help Hodkinson celebrate and ensure Sean Kenny-Dowell makes a memorable debut. Today, the forward officially announced he's returning to the UK in 2018.
I've narrowed down a couple of clubs now, so hopefully I can get that sorted in the coming week, and I would know more, so I can just get some closure there and just focus on doing well for the Knights for the rest of the year.
Following the 2-0 win over Western, Merrick wanted more goals against the Magic. Andrew Naboot got into the action early. Like he did last week, Roy O'Donovan opened the scoring following nice lead-up work by Daniel Georgievski. Naboot had another chance, but his header sailed over the bar. Georgievski and O'Donovan showed they're starting to build a formidable combination. Before Naboot finally found a way through Broadmeadows' defence. At the other end, Dino Fajkovic's shot didn't cause trouble for Jack Duncan, while O'Donovan went close to a double just before the break. The second half started poorly for the Jets as Scott Pettit eased the ball past a diving Duncan to open the Magic's account. The Jets hit back with a handful of chances. Naboot, Nikolai Topor-Stanley and Dimi Petratos all went close. Substitute Joe Champness made an impact as his shot hit the post before Naboot had his brace. Broadmeadows' defence served up his hat-trick on a plate and the Jets led 4-1. Petratos completed the victory with a cheeky chip in the final minutes. The Jets' next trial is against the Mariners on the Central Coast behind closed doors next Wednesday.
It doesn't suit any one motorcycle discipline. We've got dirt track, speedway, we've got the tar section, the jumps, so it doesn't suit anybody, which is really good. That means it's not going to scare anybody away. It's going to be tight and fast, hard racing.
But we've got a 2,000-seat grandstand that's here, which is as good as having the amphitheatre. But the benefit of here is that spectators can be right the way around the track, so you can just walk all the way around the track and see it all.
Meeting these Year 5 and 6 students today, I was surprised how many said they watched the news. They're taking part in a 2-day workshop learning how to write, shoot, present and edit a news story.
Shot 10A, take 5.
Action!
Hi, I'm Dr. Miss Deanna, and today on 6 Kids News, a famous painting has been stolen. Let's head over to Karen Gang to see what's going on.
We've been learning how to focus and how to zoom and how to do lots of different things with it.
In the internet age, the way we consume information is changing, and along with that, there are new opportunities for people.
Actually, communications and media production is a burgeoning area. There are jobs popping up everywhere, jobs that didn't exist 5 years ago, 10 years ago, things that parents don't even know exist as far as careers, and we've got to try and angle our students now to be ready for a new environment where media production is definitely part of it.
Smiling for the cameras on day one of the election campaign. Meet the newly formed Newcastle Independents.
We really want to get on with the job of governing and getting the city to progress forward without political parties bickering and fighting about things that don't really matter.
Kath Elliott will lead the independent charge as the group's Lord Mayoral candidate. She's joined by former NBN News anchor John Church, while sitting councillors Andrea Rufo and Alan Robinson will contest wards 3 and 4 respectively.
I'm committed to it. I really want to work hard for my community. I've been here a very long time. I hear a lot of people very disaffected. They tell me they don't want any more of this rot and ridiculousness, like handing the keys to the city to celebrity stars from Melbourne.
Another familiar face in the group, media personality Mike Rabbit.
I feel very proud to be part and parcel of it. Initially I was a little bit reluctant, but now that I have committed, I'm going to embrace the whole journey.
Mr Church is taking his second tilt at politics after running as a Liberal in the 2013 federal election. He's now resigned as a member of the Liberal Party.
I think that we've got to look beyond just the political labels to what's best for the city, and that's going to be my aim if I'm lucky enough to be elected.
Renee Feder, NBN News.
I think I have the right combination of energy and experience and passion and respect from all sides of politics and the community.
We're hoping that the petition will draw the attention of the community, that small businesses, members of the community will realise that we're going to have a huge economic loss of all these jobs.
After 4 years of development, the Cavalry Retirement Community is officially open.
66 nursing home beds and independent living units as well, 22 of those.
With a community garden and even a salon, this state-of-the-art facility gives its residents plenty of reasons to smile. It comes 5 years after the state government shut down Muswellbrook Hospital's aged care unit.
We had a process that made this land available to anyone calling upon an expression of interest for an aged care facility, and Calvary were pleased to take that up, and we're pleased that they did.
Residents have spent the last month moving in. 92-year-old Joan Budden overjoyed to call the place home.
Oh, I just love it. The whole place is just, to me, it's just an elegant sort of a place.
It's all flat, close to services. It'll mean that people can age in place with as much independence for as long as possible.
As the region's ageing population continues to rise, Council sees the facility allows for potential expansion.
Those expansion plans have themselves been master planned to make sure that we don't go through the problem we had 5 years ago, where we had no capacity for aged care despite enormous demand for it.
Talia Sarv, NBN News.
It's a landmark building on the harbour, one that's about to enter its next chapter as Lynch's Hub, an exciting milestone for manager Blake Forrester.
It's been a long road, but it's really come together now. I mean, there's still a lot to happen down here on the site, but to be able to open the doors on Sunday and basically have the public in here for the first time in over a decade is huge for me, yeah.
The finishing touches are being put on the cafe ahead of its opening on Sunday, while the amusement cycle hire will be up and running in the next 6 weeks or so. A community bike workshop is also set to open soon, a grant from the Port of Newcastle speeding up the process.
Because of that support, we will be able to get that community bike shop up within 2 to 3 months of kicking off out here.
It's a new lease on life for the former Lynch's Prawn site after years of uncertainty following several failed development proposals. Its success now in part thanks to the community, with a crowdfunding campaign raising $59,000 to help get the deteriorating council-owned building up to scratch.
The building's only here because the community wanted it, and it only remains here now because they've taken matters into their own hands again.
Renee Feder, NBN News.
It doesn't get any bigger than a top-of-the-table clash. Ladder leaders Western Suburbs hosting Macquarie, the only team that's beaten them this season.
It'll be an indication for us on actually how far we've come as a footy team and where we currently sit, 5 weeks out from the semis. Looking forward to, that clash in the middle third. They've got some real experienced players in Abraham and Hyde up against our, Mark Dufour and Chatty Redmond.
In the NPL, it's old boys' day as Lake Macquarie City takes on Maitland FC. The Roosters are out of finals contention, but keen to spoil the party for their rivals.
It would be good value to take some points off the top teams.
The club is also using the fixture as a fundraiser.
We've got a bunch of the club as well, and 8 of the 9 of those kids have been selected to go to Adelaide in April next year for the Australian National Special Olympics. So we're really proud of those boys.
And there's good news for former Newcastle striker Christian Baimora. The 18-year-old is trialling with Premier League club Watford FC under-23s in his bid to secure a European contract. Meredith Gibbs, NBN News. A long time between drinks. Last year's win only made the Blues thirstier for success.
And we can't rest on our laurels. We've got to go forward and keep pushing for this game. So we won't be defending the title, we'll be winning this game.
We got the win last year, but that's last year. That job's done now, so we've got a new job this year, and that's to win this year's title.
We're not thinking about defending the title, we're thinking about going out there and just winning it again.
North Newcastle teammates Caitlin Moran and Isabel Kelly are part of the next generation of Blues women. At the age of 35, with 7 Blues campaigns under her belt, Beck Young is the most experienced.
I'm the mama of the group, so to look after all the young ones coming through, it's a role that I'm extremely proud of, and I hope that the girls do get something out of it.
United in the green and gold, the Interstate Challenge pits the national team against each other. With state pride on the line, all bets are off.
We don't hold back up in the Origin, definitely. We do play Jillaroos together, most of us, but when it comes to State of Origin, all blue.
The Blues take on the Maroons on Sunday in Wollongong. Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
The number 1 seed's Matt Kowalski. He's an ex-Com Games player, so he's very classy and it's going to be very hard to beat this weekend. From heartache on the field to hope off it, the West Group has long been heralded as Newcastle's White Knight, and finally it's agreed to buy the local team.
We've been talking about it since 1988, so it has been a long time. It's about 30 years, so it's probably the longest gestation of a deal in history, but we're here.
As part of the deal, the thriving Leagues Club will spend $2.5 million on grassroots football in the region over the next 5 years, as well as establish a centre of excellence as part of the new Broadmeadow Sporting Precinct.
This is a real legacy project for the region. It's a fantastic thing, and it's something we don't want to see the community miss out on.
With just 3 wins in 18 months, there's been plenty of speculation over coach Nathan Brown's future, but there was nothing but praise from the group's CEO.
We're great supporters of Nathan. Nathan's done a great job with the cattle that he's got. I think they're planning for the future. Both him and Darren and the rest of the administration of the Knights, under very difficult circumstances post-Tinkler, have done a great job.
The sale of the Knights isn't a done deal just yet. West Group won't proceed with the proposal unless it has the support from its members.
We want the members to be behind us, so we need their support. We need them to vote yes for this. If the vote's no, we will not do it.
Members can vote at any of the group's 6 licensed premises between July 31 and August 6.
We can't do this by ourselves. We have to bring everyone with us. That's why this vote's so important. We need to make sure that the community wants us to do this, and then we'll give it our absolute best shot.
If endorsed, a transition period with the NRL will begin in August, with West expecting to take full control on October 31. Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
It's home to some of society's most vulnerable, but the care provided at Wallsend Aged Care Facility is being questioned after an audit conducted by the Australian Aged Care Quality Agency found the facility failed to fulfil 3 key requirements. Those being upholding residents' privacy, maintaining a safe and comfortable environment, and not providing adequate care and concern for patients.
We should be setting the highest standards in New South Wales for our quality of care. And if we failed 3 important benchmarks about people's dignity and their livelihoods, about getting the best nutrition and the best cleaning, then the state government needs to look at itself and fix it right away.
The report also revealed the facility is understaffed and that employees hadn't undergone compulsory criminal checks. Member for Wallsend, Sonia Hornery, is demanding answers from Hunter New England Health.
They need to be filled immediately because it means that staff are overworked and at times jobs aren't being done at the aged care facility because of that.
Hunter New England Health has assured NBN News 3 new staff have been hired for the facility. A plan is also in place to drastically improve the living standards of residents. The agency will continue to monitor the home's performance through unannounced visits. Samantha Long, NBN News. A university degree with waterfront views. Come Monday, thousands of students will be swapping Callaghan campus for the city skyline.
I feel like a lot of students have different styles of learning, so not everybody suits sit down in a lecture and make your own notes.
Today, it was members of the public who got to have a look inside the $95 million development as part of an open day.
Education is changing because we're teaching digital natives these days. So it isn't about those old blackboards anymore, it's about new learning spaces and new technology to support them.
It's all about the immersive experience at the CBD campus. A mock trial room in session today, combining theory with real-world scenarios. Another feature, this discussion circle, with some likening it to a model UN. The uni focusing on open plan learning, all while taking in the breathtaking backdrop.
I believe that it gets students to really engage and think about what they're doing. They don't rely on lecturers or tutors to really push you through. It's not high school.
Adding to the interactive nature of this campus is the Ask UON portal, helping students to locate a PC, organise a ride share or map out their way home using public transport. The true test will come next week as thousands of students attend classes for the first time. Samantha Long, NBN News.
The terminus of the railway here in Hamilton, even though that is only temporary, has really caused some problems for people and businesses in the street with antisocial behaviour and
A familiar ground and unfamiliar jersey for Sean Kenny Dow. SKD looking to inspire a much-needed win for his new club. And the early signs were good, with the weight of possession testing the Roosters' defence. But the Bondi boys didn't need much possession to make an impact. Holes opening up in the Newcastle defence. Then enter the man of the moment. A second half to forget for Chanel Matautia. And perhaps the video ref. Latrell Mitchell looked certain to have knocked on. Daniel Tupou must have agreed. The bunker disagreed. As it has been all season, the floodgates opened in the second, the Roosters piling on 16 unanswered points.
In the latter part of that game, we just, we didn't complete any good ball sets at all, and they were just, a bit too good for us, mate. So I thought our forwards did to hang in there like they did. I thought they did a great job. And I thought, some of our blokes in key positions didn't probably reward them for their effort.
The Knights recording a 23rd straight away loss.
After one win in their last 4 games, the Jaffers were looking to recapture their magic. The Griffiths brothers teamed up for the first, Ryan earning the penalty, Joel making no mistake. A long-range Luke Remington bomb doubling their lead just before half-time. The break did nothing to slow the Jaffers' momentum. Pat Brown enjoying the moment. When it rains, it pours. Less than a minute later, he had even more to celebrate. But he wasn't done just yet. The Rosebuds looked fresh out of answers as Remington added his second. Mitch Hunter finally got the Buds on the board. The Jaffers runaway winners reclaiming top spot on the NPL ladder. Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
She's a former professional basketballer blending in on a typical Saturday at National Park netball courts.
It's easier, once being a basketball, coming back to netball, though my teammates might say otherwise. I'd step a lot and it's really hard to not just grab the ball out of someone's hand or something.
Michaela Domkin started playing netball when she was 7, but stopped as a teenager to pursue what became a successful career in basketball. Originally just a fill-in for BNC, she's become a pivotal part of the family-run team that's matching it with the big guns.
I'm still really, really competitive, but I'm a lot more relaxed and there's nothing really on the line. I don't feel any pressure. I'm not trying to make any other teams or anything like that. So it's just, I feel like it's the first time in my life really that I can remember that it's just fun for me.
And as excited as ever to be back where it all began.
Just seeing netball at grassroots and how big it is, and it's really exciting for women's sport. There's a lot of competition for basketball now with a lot of girls crossing over to playing netball, but I definitely see why. It's a really great environment and there's so many kids out there that are playing.
One week on from the robbery, and this is the man police are looking for. The CCTV images were released today following the attack on the 33-year-old taxi driver.
it's disappointing that people think they can pick on a cab driver.
The armed robbery happened last Saturday evening, just after 6:15. That's when the driver collected a man from Maitland Road at Mayfield and drove him some 22 kilometres to Morgan Crescent at Raymond Terrace. There, things took a nasty turn, with the passenger pulling out a knife and holding it to the driver's throat while demanding cash. According to police, the driver handed over his night's earnings when threatened by the man, who then fled on foot along Morgan Crescent. The driver was left shaken but uninjured.
With cabs, more than half the stuff's taken on credit cards now anyway, so it's not really, a lucrative cash position for them to try and get hold of.
Taxi bosses here say Newcastle cabs are among the most secure and high-tech in the country.
They've all got internal cameras, they've got external cameras, and of course if they hit the panic button, then it goes straight to voice and we know exactly what's happening. So people who try that sort of thing, could have got away with it in the past, but the electronics are just far too advanced these days for someone to attempt something like that.
Anyone who has information is being urged to contact police. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
A perfect winter's day with all the ingredients for a super Sunday session.
Doesn't get this big and clean very often, and the banks to line up and everything to kind of work, so it's unbelievable.
Monster swell travelled across the Tasman, producing solid 2 to 3 metre waves.
Yesterday we had some quite big swells, but generally I think today has been bigger. The Bureau puts out a warning, and it's been adhered to, which has been really good.
Beaches were closed to swimmers, but for Newcastle's most experienced board riders, it was Christmas in July.
It's a good vibe out in the water, good fun, and it's even better when you get that really good wave.
Got maybe one of the best waves I've ever had out here this morning, so it's been a good day.
The paddle out proved tricky. Some called in a favour or two. It definitely wasn't for the faint-hearted.
I've broke a board this morning. This one's done as well, but it's quite powerful, and I feel like even just trying to get out is tricky.
It wasn't just a surfer's paradise. Snappers lined the shoreline hoping to capture a magic moment.
I've been here since early this morning, and I got a couple of Ryan and a few of the boys out there. One of the best barrels I've ever seen Ryan get. It was amazing just to see so many people down at the beach just taking it all in. It doesn't happen that often. It's been a pretty dry winter as far as wave goes.
Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
A moment which rocked the tennis world and changed forever the life of 26-year-old Newcastle battler Peter Doohan.
The two things that all Australian tennis players think about are Wimbledon and the Davis Cup. So, I've talked to the other blokes on the team, and we're all very excited about it. Wally and Fitzy, and of course Cashy, the Wimbledon champion. It's going to be great to have him on our side.
In NBN News tomorrow night, palatial properties. We take you through some of Newcastle's most desirable addresses. With records smashed at the top end of the market, who is buying? Out-of-town investors getting more bang for their buck, or wealthy locals buying up big? Welcome to the new real estate hotspot. That story tomorrow night at 6.
The injury is good and I'm feeling confident now, and I'm just trying to work on the niggles and keep the dive strong.
There's nothing like a top-of-the-table clash to draw a crowd, and it didn't take long for West to give fans something to cheer about, James Elias doing the honours. It didn't seem to faze Macquarie, the only team to have beaten the Rosellas this season, Matt Hay putting his side on the board. The Scorpions tested the home side's defence, but West soon turned the tables, a rampaging Elias crossing for his second. It didn't take long before the visitors pegged it back, Randall Briggs getting through. And the kick was good, locking it up at 10-all. A Mau Utah hit kicked Ryan Walker into gear. There was no stopping the 5'8" as he scored the try of the day. Callan Richardson found the gap and the home side went to the break leading by 8. West continued to push its premiership credentials after the break, try after try. And just when the visitors thought it couldn't get any worse, it did. With 5 to go, Nathan Cantor crossed for a consolation effort, but West were the runaway winners by 20. Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.